It was supposed to be a normal weekend in a quiet American college town. Moscow, Idaho, known for safety, community, and student life, had never experienced anything like the tragedy that unfolded on November 13, 2022. Four young university students went to sleep in their off-campus home, unaware that by morning their house would become the center of one of the most disturbing true crime cases in modern U.S. history. This is not a movie or a fictional horror story. This is real, a story of fear, unanswered questions, and a crime that shocked people across the world. The victims were four University of Idaho students in their early 20s, each with dreams, friendships, and plans for the future. Madison "Maddie" Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves were lifelong best friends. Xana Kernodle was known for her bright and energetic personality, and Ethan Chapin was visiting his girlfriend Xana that weekend. They lived together in a rented house near campus, a place usually filled with laughter, music, and late-night conversations like many college homes. Friends described them as typical students balancing classes, part-time jobs, social lives, and hopes for what came after graduation. No one could have imagined that this ordinary student residence would soon become a crime scene. On the evening of November 12, 2022, the students went about their normal routines. Some attended social gatherings, others spent time with friends, and in the early morning hours, they returned home. By around 4 a.m., the house was quiet, lights were off, and most of the residents were asleep. What happened next remains one of the most chilling parts of the case. At some point during those early morning hours, an intruder entered the house, and investigators believe the person likely came through a sliding glass door. Moving through the home while the victims were vulnerable and asleep, the attacker carried out a sudden and deadly assault that took 4 lives within a short period of time. 2 other roommates were inside the house that night, but were not physically harmed. By sunrise, the attacker was gone, leaving behind a scene that would horrify even experienced investigators. Later that morning, a call was made to emergency services reporting an unresponsive person. When police officers arrived at the home, they quickly realized this was not a medical emergency, but a major crime scene. The house was immediately sealed off, and local authorities called in state police and the FBI to assist. News of the murders spread rapidly, and fear settled over the small college town. Parents across the country watched the headlines and wondered how something so violent could happen in a place that had always seemed so safe. For weeks, there were no arrests, and uncertainty filled the air. Some students left town, classes temporarily shifted, and many residents began locking doors and windows even during the daytime. Social media became flooded with theories and speculation, with people asking whether the attack was random or targeted, and whether the suspect might still be nearby. While the public demanded answers, investigators worked quietly behind the scenes. As the investigation progressed, police began piecing together crucial evidence. Surveillance cameras from nearby homes and businesses captured a white sedan repeatedly driving in the area around the time of the murders. Cell phone data helped investigators track suspicious movements during the night of the crime. Inside the house, authorities discovered a knife sheath left behind, a small but critical piece of evidence that would later prove extremely important. DNA collected from that sheath became a key part of the investigation. Thousands of tips poured in from across the country, and slowly, one name began to stand out to investigators. Police identified Brian Christopher Kohberger, a graduate student studying criminology at a nearby university. He lived only a short drive from the crime scene. Investigators linked a vehicle matching his to the surveillance footage, and eventually matched his DNA to evidence recovered from the house. In December 2022, Kohberger was arrested in Pennsylvania after traveling across the country. He was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. His arrest brought a sense of relief to the community, but it also raised new questions. Why would someone studying criminal behavior commit such a crime? Did he know the victims, or was this a random act? What was the motive? As the legal process continued, many of these questions remained unanswered. Eventually, Koberger accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, and received multiple life sentences without the possibility of parole. Even at sentencing, he did not publicly explain his reasons, leaving the motive a mystery. In the aftermath of the tragedy, the house where the murders occurred was demolished because it had become a painful symbol of loss. Memorials were created, and scholarships were established in the names of the victims to honor their lives and futures that were taken too soon. Families, friends, and the wider community continued searching for healing and closure. This case changed how many people think about safety, about strangers, and about how someone who appears ordinary can hide dark intentions. The University of Idaho murders serve as a heartbreaking reminder that real horror does not always come from ghosts or monsters. Sometimes it comes from human actions. A quiet town, a normal night, and 4 young lives lost forever. This story is not only about a crime, but about remembering the victims for who they were in life, not just how they died.